Welcome back, Freelancers and Theater Rescue, and we're continuing with the Gear Showcase series. Today we're back in the Colossus, and a bunch of people in here hanging out. Alright, let's go out and showcase some gear. Alright, so GM1 on the Colossus, and we are going over... Actually, we've already pretty much finished all the ordnance launchers, so we've gone over all of them, so we're done with them. So now we're over to heavy assault launchers. And today we're going to be going over best defense. So best defense has a counterpart, a cataclysm, again and again, but we're going to be sticking with this one today. So they're both upgraded siege artillery. The combo effect is blast, which is essentially what the Colossus has for its combo damage. It's combo effect. And then when you hit an enemy with a rocket, it restores 35% armor. It is a detonator, so you will be able to combo with this. And then it does about 13,000 damage, which is pretty decent numbers. And it has a radius of 5, so that's a little bit better than what you'll see. It's a little bit bigger than potentially 4 to 5 is kind of like an average for radiuses. And then for the recharge is 14, so that's a pretty aggressive recharge. Actually, out of everything in here, that is the most aggressive recharge that the Colossus has for gear in the heavy assault launchers gear portion. This one I'm running, it has a little bit of extra damage on it, not too much, so your numbers should be hopefully a lot better than mine as far as just base damage. And then, yeah, there's really not a lot to it. It's not too complicated to use. It's pretty straightforward. The biggest thing I'm seeing right now that's going to be punishing is just the gear recharge on it. I've got a couple extra charges, so I'll be able to showcase quite a bit more, but that's something you want to take into consideration, is that's a very punishing recharge. Alright, so GM1, let's see what we can do. So we got our little group over here. And it's pretty much, a direct blast will take them down, but it seems like if they get some of the blast effect, well, not directly hit by it, it won't... well, maybe. I tried to aim away from them and get just a blast effect on them, but it seemed like it still killed them. Yeah. 15,000 damage, that's pretty much about what I was expecting to see. A little bit less there, but it still killed him. Let's see if we can take the whole group out. Almost, almost. This is a lead outlaw, so they're a little bit tankier. Not bad, very serviceable, very usable. Takes out enemies very easily. Nice. Let's see if I can get damaged a bit and see if I can show you the masterwork. Actually, I'll just test out this on the shield. So it takes down their shield pretty much almost completely by itself. Does pretty good damage against their base health. Yeah. Let's test that against their shields. It pretty much took about their whole shield and about half their health, so pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the rest of these guys out, and then look for some armored enemies. Alright, so we got some armored enemies here. And it does a little more than half their health. But 2 should take them down perfectly fine. Yeah, as you can see, he's taking down the normal red health state, or red barred enemies easily. And he takes out about 50% of the yellow armored enemies. Alright, we'll clear the rest of this out and goes up against the ranger. Okay, so let's see. It takes about a third of their shield away. A little bit more than a third. Does about 17,000. See, this is where I'm getting punished. It takes about 11 to 16,000 damage against their armor. So right now I'm running into an issue where just using this, I'm running out of charges and I have to wait for them to come back. So that's kind of the trade-off for getting health back with this, is that you're gonna have to wait for it to come back. So yeah, that's pretty much kind of where it's going to stand, and that's why I think it has such a punishing recharge, especially with everything else in there being under 10. This one's like a 14. The reason that the recharge would be so heavily penalizing is because it basically gives you armor back. So on hit, don't even have to combo them, you have to defeat them. As long as you hit an enemy type, you'll get armor back. So we'll go to GM3 and showcase it there too with the combo effects. Okay, so we are in GM3 and we're still using best defense. So we'll go here and showcase it. So something I kind of want to talk about, and I'll try to showcase as we go through, is if you're flat, so if you hit a group of them, that actually counts towards best defenses, the perk. So you can actually get, if you can get a group together and freeze them and get them all at once, that would count against all of them, so you'll get multiple stacks of that 35% health armor back. So that's something to take into consideration. We'll kind of talk about it on the back end, but alright, so 15,000 damage, pretty much the same numbers we were seeing in GM1, but they're a lot tankier here, so it's like a third of their health. The base red bar outlaws, it's barely even that, so you're probably, unless you got a lot of damage on this, you're probably going to want to have a good primer because it is a detonator. So what I like to do is just come in here, set them all on fire, and then because it technically hit all of them would have counted for the health. So I've got like pretty much 90, almost 100% of health back there. So that's where it really shines, is it can get you your armor back, especially really well and very efficiently when you're dealing with groups. So you could even come up here and just prime a group, and because you'd hit all of them. I know it's hard to tell because I'm a Colossus and I'm pretty tanky. But I'll go ahead and keep going with this. Okay. So because it's got such a decent blast radius, you usually can at least get some blast on other enemies as well. It didn't look like I hit any of them, and they're spreading out, which kind of sucks. But there I was able to get both of them, so. But yeah, for basic enemies, it's not doing a whole lot of damage, and because there's such a punishing recharge, you're really gonna have to consider that. So ideally what you could do in here, and because it's so efficient with combos, blast combos, and this is blast damage, it's really going to be beneficial there. So if you could just prime a group, and then you can pretty much like take them out with 2 shots, where before we were struggling with 3. So let's test them against shields. About half of their shield, a little bit less than half. So, not too bad against shields, but not great either. Go ahead and take their shield down. Yeah, it takes a lot, and this, even though the damage numbers look good, it's really, the recharge is just taking too long. I mean, they start getting their shields back before I'm able to get our charge back. So they were able to take down their shield in 2 shots. Yeah, so like right there is where it's going to shine the most, is if you can pretty much immobilize a group, or at least prime a group all at once, and then detonate them. Ooh, I didn't realize that was the storm. And then I'll end up getting all my health back. So it's got its trade-offs. It's just going to require you to be a lot more tactical and kind of position yourself better and be much more aware. You can't just come in and... I don't want to say you can't just come in and have fun with it, because you can. But you're not going to be invincible, which you would think you would be invincible with it like that, but you're really not. Alright, let's get out of here and we'll test it against their shield. So, about the same as the other shields. Get some charges back. And about 15 like it was doing with the rest. We'll go ahead and take them out. and find armored enemies. Oop, and I missed. Alright, so we got some armored enemies. It's doing about 11,000. Prime right now. I'll wait till they're not primed. Yeah, doing about just over 10,000. And I'm getting the Dickens right now. Okay, so that took them all out. I'm gonna take these storms out and clear up the rest. Okay, so I'm gonna let this storm take me down to about half of my health and show off the being able to get back my armor. So I'm just a little bit above a half. I'll let him hit me one more time and then. Okay, so I'm about half. And it looked like I got like half my health back, so. Give them a second. Actually, I'll take the ult again and just showcase it again. Alright, so I'm roughly a little bit less than half. And there you go, I got all my my health back. So, I don't have to detonate combos, I don't have to prime them, I just hit them. So, about 11,000 against their armor, 16 for weak points. Just to be clear, your numbers may vary based on your rolls for your inscriptions. Oh. And then I'll just let him hit me again, and then I'll get it all back. So going up against like the Monitor or the Tyrant Queen or whatever Stronghold, even though this doesn't do a lot in like groups, it's still very viable for the fact that I'm getting it's kind of like a trade-off for like really good damage against getting my armor back and basically becoming unkillable. So as long as you have enough charges of this, you're pretty much going to be able to take these enemies down relatively safely. Not necessarily efficiently, just safely, if that kind of makes sense. Like that's one less thing you have to worry about is stack health. So if you haven't gotten a lot of gear with a lot of good health rolls on them, or not gear, but just general like components and things, you can kind of like almost like cheese this or kind of use this to keep getting your health back and still do damage and still detonate combos. So we'll go ahead and go over checking some boxes real quick. So efficiency wise, it has a really punishing recharge and it doesn't really do that much damage unless you're comboing with it. So you're going to be able to use it a lot less unless your build's specifically set up to get it back more and more, which this build that I have has got 2 extra charges, which means I've got 3 charges total. And this build is specifically meant for a lot of armor and a lot of recharge. So I'm getting my gear recharged very quickly. And even then, I would find myself without any charges, just kind of like walking around like, well, okay, I got to stand over here and wait for it to come back. So that's something to consider. And then, like, so as far as its overall use, it's pretty quick, but there is an animation at the end of it where you are kind of like pause for a minute. So like, I'll shoot it, and I have to wait till the animation's over before I can use it again. You probably won't be using it like that, so that animation shouldn't be a problem. It's just something to consider is that when that animation is happening, you do have to wait to like pop out that empty canister before you can use it again. In case you miss or something, I can see that's where an issue you might be like, oh shoot, I missed. Oh, they're moving around now. I gotta wait for it. So that's the only downside to like the animations. It's really not that bad. It's pretty good. I wouldn't really say it's negative. It's just one of those things you might want. Where I was talking earlier about positioning, you might want to take a second before you use it, and there's no like you have to hold it and charge it up. It's just you hit the button and it goes. There's no trajectory or any of that, so pretty quick. But as far as efficiency, it's not the most efficient thing for that gear slot, and it's more of just like one of those really nice gear pieces that you have that like. Because it's not really hard to proc the Masterwork perk to get your armor back, and because you can proc it so that you can get it back on multiple enemies and get even more back, because that's just how it works. Even though the description doesn't specifically clarify, it doesn't really say it doesn't. It says hitting an enemy with a rocket restores 35% armor. But if you hit multiple enemies, those all count as hits. So you can potentially, if you hit enough enemies, you can get all that back. it's just the recharge really sucks. So that's like their only real negative, and it just doesn't do a lot of damage. Is it viable? Well, it's definitely viable because it's a detonator. So the Colossus has a lot of different variants of being able to, or very different ways of being able to prime enemies in general. So I don't feel like priming is going to be difficult. So detonating should also not be difficult. You're just going to have to be careful. And this is the thing too. Like, let's say you're trying to prime a shield enemy like those storms. Well, you can still use this and at least get armor back in the meantime while trying to take down their shield while you're trying to deal with them. So that's a benefactor to it as well. That kind of adds a little bit more to the viability of it than other ones would be, where with maybe they're more powerful with combo damage. Well, you gotta get that shield down before you can prime them and actually do a combo. So with this, you don't really have to worry about that too much. I mean, you're still going to have to get the shield down and do a combo, but if you hit them with their shield up, you still get your armor back. So it gives you a lot more survivability. Then is it fun? I mean, I feel like I almost have to say this every time. Well, fun factor is kind of like dependent on the end user. Maybe you don't like doing combos, or maybe you just want to pack all your damage into just a blast, so you don't really care about priming them or whatever. So that's going to be dependent on you and kind of your playstyle. But I think if you enjoy detonating combos and you don't have you put a lot of your rolls, your inscriptions into other things like combo damage, blast damage, and like ult or whatever. This is going to be really helpful for that, because then you won't have a lot of armor, so you can just instantly get back a bunch of armor quickly. So I think it's fun, and as far as the only downside to it is you're going to want to make sure you got pretty good positioning with it. And even then, it's got a pretty decent blast radius, so it should hit enough enemies where you're proccing the Masterwork perk and still detonating. So I don't know if there's too much else to be said on it. It's a pretty good gear piece, and I'm going to give it the thumbs up. So we'll go over... well, yeah, I think I'm going to cut it off there. I have some other things I kind of want to think about maybe later on, but they more pertain to other gear pieces, so I'll save those for later ones. Anyways, I'm the Feed Rescue, and I'll see you guys out in Bastion.